Okay, so in today's episode, I want to talk about people who basically have oversold themselves at work. What I mean is, like, everyone believed that they were doing a good job, and then later, whether they were fired or quit or whatever, later it ended up coming to light that, holy crap, they were doing a terrible job, and they were just expertly pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. Ironically, the people I'm going to talk about, I'm going to do 3 of them. And the people I'm going to talk about are from the company that I'm with now. It's kind of weird that they're all from this company, but there's not really anyone else that I can think of. I mean, my first job, it was a small company. There was like 18 employees total, 21 if you counted the 3 drivers. But otherwise, it was 18 employees. Actually, 17. That's because that's also including the president of the company, the owner. So, yeah, that was a small company. So, like, if anybody slacked or screwed up there or whatever, you know, you noticed right away. You couldn't really slack there. But the other thing is, a lot of people there wouldn't slack. It was a whole family company. I mean, you had the owner was, you know, his dad started it, and then it was like cousins were in there and spouses of friends of theirs and stuff. Like, it was me and like 5 other people that weren't related to the family that worked there. So anyways, you know, when it's a family thing, I don't think you're going to screw up anyways, because it's like, you know, you want to succeed. You want the whole, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey, I want to do good for my cousin. I want to do good for my, you know, brother's wife or whatever, or husband. I mean, my sister's husband or whatever, you know? Like, you don't really, there is no self-interest in a situation like that. So there's no one really to call out there that sucked. Actually, there was one kid, I forgot about him, our maintenance guy kid. He was in high school still. He'd come after work. He really sucked. He was a slacker. But he doesn't really count as an employee, though, because he would come at like 3 to 5 or something, and he just did a terrible job at cleaning the bathrooms and stuff. But he was also obvious. He didn't make it seem like he was great, and then we found out he sucked. We knew he sucked. So he doesn't even count. And then my last company was a huge company, so, I mean, you could suck and possibly get away with it, and people wouldn't know. But the thing is I feel like everybody probably had to be pretty good there, because the way it worked was like, it was top down. So, you know, people at the bottom would have to do their work so the next people up could do their work. And then those people would have to do their work so then the next up people could do their work. And so on. It was like a constant cog, just constantly. As soon as the bottom people finished one job, the second stage people finished their last job they were on so they could take the job that you just finished. And, yeah, they're just, if you were slacking, then people would know. Because you'd be like, well, I would be faster. You know what I mean? Like, say someone was on you and you're waiting for someone below you. You'd be like, well, geez, I would be faster, but so-and-so, it always takes forever to get me the next work. I don't know if that's because he's slacking or if he's just not getting work soon enough, but I'd assume it's because he's slacking, you know, and then it would get called to light. So that never happened. So I would assume that, you know, everyone did just fine there. And then any other jobs I've had, they've just been like bullcrap jobs, like McDonald's or Dunkin's or Burger King. Like, if people suck, they just straight up suck. Nobody pretends they're good at a place like that and then actually sucks. So it seems like it's just the company I'm with now. And the reason that I feel like there's people who suck at the company that I'm with now is because it's like a large family company, if you will. Like, it's a small business, but it's not as small as the first one I worked for, where there was like 18 employees. I think we have like 60 employees total or something. So, you know, it's small, but it's like medium small. And so, anyways, like, a lot of people, especially in critical positions, there's only one of you. Like for me, I'm chief engineer at my company, but I'm not chief engineer in the sense of that I have underlings, that there's other engineers that are part of the team and I'm just their supervisor. Like, the engineering department is me. It's just me. And the title of chief engineer is just something that sounds cool that I took because the last engineer had that title. So I'm like, well, I guess I can use it too. I mean, I am engineering. I mean, I guess I could really up it and say that I'm director of engineering or something and make it sound even cooler, but I wouldn't want to do that because if I ever left, I don't really have the credentials to be director of engineering. You know, that's like high level stuff. I'm not really at that level. Chief engineer, though, I'd be fine with if I went to a different company. You know, I feel like I could handle that. I know obviously I'm handling it just fine at my company now, so I could handle having people that I just have to manage. But anyways, yeah, so the point is that's how a lot of the departments are. You know, you might have a title, but it's just you. You know, purchasing is one person. HR is one person. The manager, the quality manager. Yeah, the title is called quality manager, but he's not managing anybody. It's just him. He's quality manager and quality technician, if you will. So anyways, when you have positions like this, it's easy for stuff to get hidden because nobody's there to verify. Nobody's there to check. If it's just you and you say, oh yeah, I'm doing a great job, nobody's really going to know, especially when the positions aren't cross-trained. So like literally nobody does know. You know what I mean? Somebody can claim all day that they're great at their job. And if everyone else doesn't know how you even do the job, how are they going to know if you're doing great or not? They're not. They're just going to take your word. And so yeah, there's a lot of that at the company I'm with now. Actually, technically, I can't say there is a lot. There was a lot. Now there's just one straggler left. But anyways, so here's how I'm going to attack this. Like I said, there's 3 people that I want to talk about. And I don't have a specific order that I'm going to talk about them in the sense of like, oh, this one was so much more egregious than the others and this and that and ranked like that. Like, they're in a specific order, but the order is more... The first one I'm going to talk about is somebody that I worked very closely with. So I have a lot of personal, knowledge of the situation and stuff. The second one is just the second one. I don't know. It's just by default that person ends up second, because the one that I'm putting in third, I do want to talk about last, because it kind of just works out that that's the one that still works for the company. So I want to get rid of the ones first that don't work there anymore, and then talk about the one that does still work there. So, that's the only reason why they're ranked the way they are. It's not like ranking like, oh, the one that I talk about in first was real bad at the lies, and the one in third was a little more casual but still notable. It's not like that. They're all doofuses in their own way. So anyways, let's just get into it. So starting off the pack is actually going to be an honorable mentions. I know I said there's 3 I really want to talk about. I guess you could say there's 4, but the only reason this one doesn't count as a real position, like 4 people instead of 3, is because this guy was only with the company for a very brief amount of time. I don't remember if it was just 1 month or 2 months. It wasn't much though. But this was our former QC manager. So basically, when he came on board, it seemed like he was doing great. He would send us daily reports, like not reports, but like mini synopsises of what he's done all day. And this problem came up, I tackled it like this. This problem came up, I'll address that tomorrow. This went well. Just little like spark notes of what happened. And then usually on Fridays, he'd give like a more detailed breakdown of what happened throughout the week. Like I feel like that his Friday report probably took like an hour to write everything and really give a report, because the other ones throughout the week would just be an email. But the one on Friday, it would technically still be an email, but it would be a Word document attached. It wasn't just an email. You know what I mean? So, anyways, it made him look kind of impressive, especially compared to the one that we had before him. Not to say that she was terrible. It's just, she was kind of difficult. She didn't really want to be quality. She kind of just got put into it. It stressed her out for some reason. She would break down and cry all the time, and it was like, girl, relax. What the heck? This is awkward. So when he came along and it seemed like he had it under control and he's writing these reports, it's like, oh man, whew, what an improvement. Not somebody who's having a meltdown because they got to do their job anymore, but somebody who actually can do the job. Sweet. Well, anyways, when he ended up leaving, I don't remember the situation. I don't know if he left on his own. I don't know if he got fired. I feel like he got fired because I was thinking about, like, what if he's trying to find a new job and they ask for a review on him? Like, it's not going to be a positive thing. But I don't remember. All I know is he just wasn't there for very long. But anyways, what it came out to light after the fact was that, basically his reports and stuff were all fluff. Like, he would take something small, and in his report, he would make it sound huge. He'd make it sound like it was so awesome what he did, and it was great, and this and that. Like, let's say there was a small problem with, like, I don't know, the cat, some part that he was QCing was, had some dirt in it, and it was a lot of them, let's say. And so he would make it sound like he had to go through all this work and make sure that stopped and get it cleaned and blah, blah, blah. When the reality is maybe he saw 2 of them that were like that and cleaned those 2. But it wasn't a whole barrel or something like he would make it sound. Or maybe it was just something simple, like he'd tell the girls who are, doing the finishing, putting the parts in the box. Oh, hey, make sure you blow a little extra air on those to really clean the stuff out. And then he'd take like all kinds of credit for it, though, like he did something crazy, when really all he did was tell the girls to blow out the parts a little longer. Like, it's no effort on his part. It's a 5-second thing. Hey, girls, can you just blow these parts out a little longer? They're dirty. But in his report, it would sound like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. He did all this to fix the problem? Wow. Or else he would not, I don't think he ever lied in his reports, but like he would really like make stuff up to really stretch the truth about things. And yeah, and I guess the other thing too is he was in the office a lot. And at my company, especially when there is no other employees, I mean, maybe if he was a QC manager for real and we actually had QC technicians, then okay, it would be fine if he stayed in the office. But that's not fine because he's the manager and the technician, so he has to be out on the floor regularly checking things. And I guess he spent a lot of time in the office, from what I understand, which is obviously a bad thing, but also it kind of like almost contradicts his reports. How are you doing all this stuff that you're claiming you're doing if you're just sitting in the office, though? You're not out there checking these parts. You're not out there talking to the girls if you're sitting in your office. So, yeah, all this stuff came to light. And, yeah, it ended up being like, it seemed like on paper that he was an awesome employee, but he wasn't. Which is why I feel like he might have gotten fired, because maybe somebody caught on that everything he was saying wasn't actually happening. But I don't know. I don't remember, because this was several years ago now. I'm thinking this was back in like 2021, maybe even late 2020 when this happened. So it's been a while. But anyways, so that's the honorable mention. Again, he's only honorable mention because he was just a short-term employee. So even whatever his situation was that he was screwing up on, he just didn't have enough time to really like have a negative impact overall. You know what I mean? It's not like he was a 5, 10, 20-year employee and doing a bad job. Yeah, then he'd have some tenure to really mess things up and cause lasting damage that would take forever to fix. 2 months, what are you really going to do? It's like the problem starts and then, caught this in time before this became a serious issue. So, honorable mention. Now on to the real list. So, in first, I guess, the first one I want to say is actually the former chief engineer, the guy that I was hired to replace. So what had happened was, back when I was hired, it was because the chief engineer that they had at the time was supposed to move out to the plant to become the new plant manager. And the reason for that was because the plant manager that they had was supposed to be retiring. So obviously, like, you need somebody to replace him. And at the same time, if the chief engineer is going to replace him, then you need somebody to replace the chief engineer. So boom, I got hired. So, one thing about the chief engineer is, I thought it'd be cool for him going out in the plant, being the plant manager, because I thought having experience as engineering would possibly work out very well to also be the plant manager. Not only do you understand all the tools and everything, but then you'll get to learn the side of like manufacturing and all that, and it could just really play hand in hand to make him a great plant manager. But he didn't last very long in that. He only did the plant manager stuff for like a year and a half. And I think the reason for that is because he was with the company for a while. I mean, he was with the company for, I think, like 28 years or something before he moved out to the plant. 28 and a half years, maybe, before he moved out to the plant. And, like I said, it's a family company, so we currently are on the third generation of the family. Technically, the fourth is working there as well. The current owner's son works with us also. But anyways, so this guy, the former chief engineer, I mean, he worked for the current owner's dad. And so I think like they had a solid relationship with one another and all that. But I think when the son took over, the guy that's the owner now, I just don't think it really, I think they clashed too much. First off, I'm pretty sure the former chief engineer is either equal to or even a little bit older than the current owner. So I think the guy, it's hard to explain the former chief engineer what he was like, but I feel like that's almost something that would feel weird to him, like having a superior that's younger than him. I don't think would sit well with him. Like, obviously the former owner of the company would have been older than him, because if the guy's son is roughly his age, then obviously he has to be older than him, so that would have been fine. But I think having an owner of the company that's kind of his age felt weird to him. He also didn't really work for the company. Like, the whole family dynamic with that family is weird. The current owner's brother worked at the company. Then they had some kind of weird falling out They basically kicked him out and then took this guy in and then gave the company to him. And it was just like, what? I wasn't there for it, but I just hear the stories and it's just so weird. So I think there's that as well. Like, he didn't really even know the current owner. Like, he never worked with him and stuff. It's just some guy now that, oh, you're my boss now? Okay. And I don't know. It didn't work out well. They seemed to clash a lot, argue a lot. It was a weird, hostile situation. He left on his own, though. He wasn't fired. He put in his 2 weeks. He put in a month notice, and yeah. So it was kind of sad, too, though, because when he left, well, one, I was thinking, geez, like, it was his 30 years. 30 years. That was, like, his job out of college. He was there for 30 years, and it's just like, I know he's on to something better now. Like, he talks to some of the guys still there, and they'll give me, like, little updates here and there. Oh, hey, I was talking to him the other day. He says this. And, like, I guess he says the company he's with now, he's like, man, they paid me a little bit more than I was making when I left. And mind you, I was working there for 30 years, and they pay me more just right out the gate. So I know he's doing better for himself now, and I guess he's happy, way happier too. He really likes the job. He likes the hours. It's like 6 to 2 or something like that. 6 to 2 is not really my style. I don't like to get up super early, but hey, if he's happy with it, I mean, compared to what he was doing as plant manager, he was doing like 6 to 5. So I'm sure 6 to 2 is quite the upgrade. Saving 3 hours a day, you get to be home and hang out with his wife and dogs a little bit more and all that. So, you know, it's good for him, but I don't know, it's just kind of sad. At 30 years, it's almost like down the drain, you know what I mean? All that time and all these prints that they have with his name on it and stuff, and it's like, for what? Not for what, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just weird. It's all that effort over these years, all that caring that he put into the company, and now it's just for nothing, I guess. And then it was also kind of sad because they didn't do anything for him. I mean, geez, we had a card that we were trying to circulate for him, and I didn't even really get a chance to sign it. I signed it, I put my name there, but I wanted to put a little note, because, you know, he was my temporary boss for a little bit before he moved out. I mean, I replaced him before he moved out to the plant, but, like, I didn't have time to. Like, he wanted to leave by noon on the day that he left, and just, yeah, man, it was such a weird rush situation. They didn't do anything for him. You'd think they'd give him a party, even though he's leaving. Still, 30 years, do something. They did nothing. It was just so weird and kind of sad, and just like, man, like, this is it? Just nothing? I don't know. But anyways, what I did want to say is, I don't think anyone else really realizes these issues, but I noticed these issues now since I do the same job that he did. And, like, there's quite a few that I'm like, huh, Mr. thought he was so cool. See, because one thing he would always do is he'd always brag about this job that he did in the course of a month. 30 days, he always says. He had to do 30 projects in 30 days. And, he always would brag about that. And when I was new, it sounded impressive, you know, because I didn't really know what it entailed. I mean, like, in the grand scheme of things, I was in the world of engineering at 8 years at this point when I started with my company. But, like, what we do at my company now is different than what I've done anywhere else. So, like, you know, he's bragging about, I did 30 jobs in 30 days. Well, I don't know what that is, if that's impressive or not. So I'd always just think, okay, it's pretty good. But over time, after being there, I came to realize, basically him saying that is like, he's unknowingly admitting that he just sucks at his job. That's basically what's happening. Because I guarantee you, though, if I had to do those 30 jobs, I could get them done in 2 weeks. And by 2 weeks, I mean 10 days. Monday through Friday, 2 weeks, back to back. I probably wouldn't even need all that time. I might even be able to have, like, the second week's Friday free. But for him, he talked about how he needed all the days. Plus, he would come in on the weekends. He'd stay late during the week and all this. Like, he was putting in a ridiculous amount of time. And it's just like, bro, why? Like, basically, the parts that he had to make in 30 days were all derivative. All you had to do was make one, make the print, and then go to town and just make the derivatives after that. And then basically, if you did it right, the print will automatically update with each new version that you create. So that saves you a ton of time, especially the way he does prints. I don't like to do prints this way, but you can set it up so that then the prints will auto-populate with dimensions based on what you have in your part model. So that means it would be even faster for him than it would be for me. Because the parts will just automatically go. They're going to recognize the new dimension and just, boop, oh, here's my dimension. Where in my parts, it might go dangling. The dimension might break, as they call it, and then I'd have to either reattach it or just delete it and put a new one back in. So it'll take me a little bit longer. But for him, and since it's all derivative, he could have either A, made configurations in the part model and made like pages in the print, so then you have one document that you just go to town on, or B, even if he had to do them individually, like copy paste, it's still not going to take you that long. Like, the way I think of it is if I had to do this, a day and a half is what it would take me about to do the design of the part, make the print of the part, make the tooling, and then make the prints for tooling. Maybe 2 days, not a day and a half, probably 2 days. It'd take me 1 day to do the part and then 1 day to do the tooling and the prints. So 2 days right there for one. But then after I get those baseline done, you just breeze right through it. Now you're cruising. Day 2, I could probably get 4 parts done. Just cruising. Done. Because everything would just auto-update. Day 3, do another 4. Day 4, do another 4. Day 5, do another 4. That's 17 entire jobs right there. I have 13 left for next week. Now let's say next week I slow down. That's 3 a day, Monday through Friday, that I'd have to get done. That's 15 jobs. Which I only needed to do 13. That means 2 of them. That means Friday, like I said, is basically free. I would only have 1 left to do on Friday, and then I have the rest of the day that I'm done. I don't understand why it took him so much time and effort to do. But it's just goofy, because he just always would brag about that. And then, like I said, in the moment, I didn't understand. So I just hear it and be like, oh, wow. But now looking back at it, I'm like, nah, man, you suck at your job, and you're just accidentally self-owning this. You don't realize that you're self-owning that you suck, but that's what you're telling me right now that I realize. Anyways, a little context, too. I meant to say this before, but I kind of forgot. Those 30 jobs that we had, those were because there was another company that, it's kind of a sad story. It's a long story, but it's kind of a sad story. It was a huge company, global, everything. Like 2 sites in China, a site in India, a site in Taiwan. There was a site in Mexico. I don't know how many sites in the United States. Just a massive, monstrous company. And for some reason, they wanted to sell. I don't know why, but they ended up selling to this other company that basically doesn't care about companies. They kind of just liquidate. They buy the company. If there's any aspect of the company that they like, they keep it, and the rest they just liquidate. It's a weird business model, but that's what they do. And so that's basically what happened. They basically liquidated this entire massive global company. That I think they saved only like a tiny bit. Like, the company, I think, made like the caps for Coke bottles. So I think they kept that, and everything else they just got rid of. And it was like, seriously? Like, you could have worked on building up those other industries and made them even better than they were. I'm sure you have a lot of other technologies from a bunch of other companies that you've acquired over the years. You could have merged some ideas together, came up with new revolutionary things, and instead you just destroy it all because I'm not interested. What's even dumber is, in the long run, that would yield you a lot more money than just liquidating everything. But anyways, so what happened was, one of their employees that they had, I don't know what his position was there. I know he was engineering manager, but I don't know what he was towards the end of the tenure, end of the company's life cycle. But he's with us now as the VP of Sales and VP of Global Sales and Marketing. And when he came over, though, he brought tons of data from that company. Like, we have a whole entire server just dedicated to the information that he brought. Unfortunately, I don't understand the organization of this data. It might not even be organized. You know what I mean? It could just be a hard drive that was just dumped. Information was just dumped onto during the chaos of the other company being shut down. I don't know. But there's tons of information that I wish made more sense and was better organized and all that, because it'd be awesome to just look through. But anyhow, so yeah, that was one of the things. I guess there was a product, or a product line, I should say, that company was making that another big company was buying, and then with that company going out of business, they wanted to keep buying their product. So it was referred to us, because that's where the technology went to, basically. But since we didn't have the technology, we had to quickly build it up. And so that's what that 30-day project was. He had 30 things that he had to build up for this for this customer that was, I don't know if they already were an existing customer of ours or not, but if they weren't, they are now. So we had to build that up as quickly as possible. That's why he was on a tight timeline. But yeah, so anyways, he just cell phoned that he sucks at his job and he needed way more time than he should need. Anyways, another thing though that I ended up discovering that he kind of sucked at his job for is we have 3 kinds of prints that we make. We have the regular full-on print. That's obviously for internal use only. We have a print that we call the deco print. That is a print to send out to our decorating suppliers, I should say, so then they have a general idea of A, where we want to maintain the artwork, and B, like what our overall product sizing is and stuff like that, so then they can have an idea of what they would need for fixtures and what have you. And then we have another print called the dim print, D-I-M, dim, short for dimensional. So anyways, what a dim print is it's supposed to be the print that we send out to customers. So if a customer asks to get like specs and stuff on our products, we send them the dim print. And what a dim print is supposed to be is a highly stripped down version of the regular print. This is so that way then the customer can get an overall idea of like sizing, length, width, height, depth, whatever else there might be, but not give them too much information. That way then they couldn't go and like steal our proprietary information. It's just enough to give them a general idea. So if they have packaging concerns or if they have a mating part, they can verify that, okay, yeah, this will work, or ooh, this is too big or too small. So anyhow, the dim prints, like I said, are supposed to be very stripped down versions. Like let's say a normal print. I'm always driving when I make these. I hate having little side quests that I start talking about in the middle of nowhere, but I just said whoa, so I wanted to explain what the whoa was. So I'm on the highway, and one thing that's always scary, especially at night, which it's night now because this is after my second job, so it's 8:35 at night right now, and it's always scary to think about like deers or other potentially large animals like running out across the highway, deer or even a coyote or something. And I just saw in a very small field next to the highway, but very close to the highway, like 3 or 4 deers just standing there grazing. Now granted, at least they were kind of grazing. That didn't look like they're going to be ready to run out, but it's like, whoa, that's scary and potentially dangerous. But anyways, back to the story. So say a regular print has, 25 dimensions on it total. Well, a dim print is only going to have like 6 total. You're stripping that right down. You're leaving just the bare bones essential. Here's the overall size. Here's the depth. You're not giving them any radii. You're not giving them any like real critical dimensions. You're not giving them half the time. I won't even give them the depth, because I figure if they don't have the exact depth, like if it's something that holds volume, I don't give them the depth. That way then they can't even copy like the proper volume. They'd have to make it up on their own. Like I'll give them the overall height, and that's it. This is how tall it is. Does that work for you? So yeah, very stripped down. But anyways, there are, or I should say more recently, now that let me back up a little bit. So all along, there's been a file that's for sales and stuff, for these people to be able to access the dim and deco prints from the server. It's just an Excel sheet, but it has hyperlinks to all of the prints, all the PDF files. And that Excel sheet just lives in one spot, and all the PDF files live in one spot. So, it just works perfectly. Well, something happened 2 years ago or something. And for some reason, that Excel sheet got corrupted. Now, our IT guy told us how to fix it, but for me, I didn't pay attention because it doesn't affect me. I'm engineering. I have direct access to those prints. I don't need the Excel sheet to access them. But the people in sales didn't really pay attention, and nobody knows how to fix it anymore. And we just haven't asked IT to look at it because it doesn't matter. They just ask me to give them the prints, and it's like, whatever, what do you need? Okay, and I just email it to them. And some of the people are actually smart enough, and they're just building a database on their computer anyways, so they have their own set of dim and deco prints, and then it just makes things even easier now. They don't have to ask me every single time they need something if they already have it. So anyways, with me needing to provide the dim and deco prints, one thing I've been noticing is the deco prints, they're perfectly fine, but the dim prints have been awfully suspiciously terrible. They're basically the full-on print in the DIM folder with the DIM tag on them, because we label it differently. Like there's the normal print is called the part number, and then when it's a DIM, it's DIM part number. That's the file name. So these things are called DIM part number, but they are not DIM prints. They are the full-on print. Like, you open it, and every single dimension's right there. All the views are there. Like, that's another thing, too, I forgot to say. Not only do you strip down the dimensions, but I'll strip out views. Like, if there's a blow-up view of a little portion of the product, I just get rid of that. You don't need to see that in greater detail. What you have, the basic overall idea is good enough for you. So, yeah, those DIM prints are all full dimensions, blow-up views, cross-sections, and it's like, this is not a DIM print. And, like, it's not like this was a one-off or something, oops, I accidentally put the wrong print in there. I've been finding a lot. It's almost like every single time I'm asked for a print, it's no good, and I have to update it. And it's kind of ridiculous. I'm like, how many of these DIM prints did you actually make DIM over the years? Like, geez, over the course of 30 years, how many of these did you screw up? How many of these did we give out to customers, just for giving them the full-on design? Hey, here you go, steal our stuff. Yeah, we don't care about proprietary designs. Yeah, just have it. Here's the print. There's all the exact perfect specs you need, all the GD&T tolerances, all the dimensional tolerances, we might even have an image of, like, the fit with another part. Now you know how that's supposed to go. Yeah, here you go. Like, it's ridiculous. So every time somebody asks me, I always open it first to double check that it's good, and if it's not, I gotta go through and fix it and make it an actual DIM print. And it's kind of funny, I guess is the word, because we had a customer, with all these tariffs and stuff going on currently, a lot of our customers or potential new customers are moving out of China because it's getting too expensive to work with China now. So they're trying to source stuff back in the States. And one customer, I don't know if it's an existing customer of ours or a new one. I don't know who it is. All I know is they sent us a sample and they said, hey, we're looking to get this made. They sent a sample and they're like, hey, this is what we currently have. Do you have anything like this that's similar that would match for our needs? And that sample is from China. So China made that for them. And now, they're trying to move out of China and come to the States. Well, anyways, the sample that they provided to us is our product. It's our proprietary line at that, which means China has no business making this. It is our product. The only place you should be able to get that product from is, the company I work for. And the company I work for has one location. We're not global or anything. Like I said, we have 60 employees. So, and yet China's producing it, which means China, somewhere along the line, got some of our product and stole the IP like they always do. Now, granted, it could be a customer that had our product, sent it to them like, hey, can you replicate this or something? And then obviously they would have to reverse engineer it, and then boom, now they have it. However, they shouldn't be selling to other customers, though. If that's the case, they should have just reverse engineered our jar and sold it directly back to that customer, not others. Or B, the other situation could be maybe we gave out a DIM print to a customer, and then that customer over time ended up reaching out to China. Now China has the full-on design, or at least of the part, all the specs and everything. Boom, they're halfway there. Now they just got to build the tool around it, and now they were able to steal our product. Who knows? But you know what? Having those terrible DIM prints only acts as a factor that could be the cause of why China is producing a proprietary product of ours, which is very ridiculous because our products are semi-niche. So it's kind of crazy that China even has been able to steal from us. But anyways, I just wanted to throw that example out there. So yeah, that's another thing that he was like a failure on. And what was the other thing? I feel like there was one other thing that I've noticed over time. Oh yeah, this is kind of small. Yeah, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But for some reason, he was always like all about printing everything out. See, I've always been all about digital. Put a digital file on a folder on the server. Keep all your files digitally. They're right there. 90% of the time you're at your computer, so whatever you need to see, it's right there, quick and easy. But for some reason, he always printed everything out. So, like, there's folders and folders and folders in the engineering storage room, and it's ridiculous. And some of them, makes sense, because this company has been around since, like, the 50s, so some of the stuff is old, and there wasn't PDFs yet, and you had to do everything on pen and paper. But, like, the stuff from, like, 2000s on, I always think, why did he always print? Like, there's even stuff from, like, later, like 2015 in the folders, and I'm like, really? Why did you waste so much paper for and ink and folders and all this? Like, just make a digital folder. What's even worse is he would have, like, both. He'd have the full digital folder and a full printed folder, and it's just like, why did you need to print this? It's a small thing. Like I said, I'm not putting that against him. It's the other two that really proved that he kind of sucked and was really blowing smoke, making himself seem better than he was. But that's still just kind of like a weird flaw. Like, why do you got to do that for? I've been using PDF-only files since, like, 2011. At my first company, everybody did. There was no hard copy anywhere. Everything was on the server. The only people that had anything hard copy were the people in the shop that had prints that they were manufacturing parts to. Otherwise, everything was digital. And that makes sense. It helps keep things more tidy and organized. You don't need all these filing cabinets and all these papers and stuff. So it does that. If worse comes to worse, like a fire or something, you could easily, like, grab a few hard drives out of your server room and basically have all your proprietary data and stuff still, versus papers that'll burn, and then now what? Oh, it looks like we lost everything. We're starting over. It saves money on paper and ink, like I already said. It saves money on needing to buy folders for no reason. Folders on a computer are free. You can make 1 trillion of them. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to buy 1 trillion folders, well, that's going to add up. So yeah, like I said, it's just a goofy little side thing. It's not really that critical, but I always wondered why he found it so necessary to print everything. The only thing I can think of is because he was used to it. That's just what he's been doing since he started at the company in, like, 91, and that's just the way it was, and he just was used to it, so just continued doing it. Oh, this is what I've always done. I guess I still will. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you get blinded when you're set in your ways, and you can't see alternate options. So maybe for him, the rise of PDFs would have started, like, 10 years after he started. But for him, it's just he's been doing this for 10 years, so he doesn't see the other way. He just thinks, well, yeah, we always print everything out, so why would I not? But anyways, I just bring it up because I guess sometimes it's a little annoying. Like, I go to look for something and digitally at my computer, nice and convenient, and it's not there. And then I got to go into the closet and look in the filing cabinets, find what I'm looking for, the folder, then look through the folder, because there's a million things in there because they printed out everything. Emails, POs, receipts from the customer that they received the PO, and communications between employees, written notes, just tons of crap. So I gotta look through everything to find whatever I'm looking for, and I'm like, this would be so much easier if this was in a fucking digital folder. It would be right there, take 2 seconds. I would have already had this information 10 minutes ago. No, instead I'm standing here in the closet dicking around trying to look through this folder that's jam-packed with nonsense. Anyways, I guess in wrapping up with him, one thing I find funny too is when he worked there, he had it easy. He only had to do engineering, and that was it. Once in a while, you have to go and help QC out. I do myself too, have to do that. But the difference between me and him is where he only had to worry about engineering and once in a while doing QC, I also have to do all the quotes for all new sales orders that come in, and I have to audit all the sales orders before they go out to the plant. I have to audit them for order accuracy and well, more than just order accuracy. I got to verify the quantities are right, the price, the ship to location, the when's it due by, how many do we have in stock? So is the number that we need to produce correct, or is there a math error there? What else do I double check? The PO number, the customer code number, who's supposed to be shipping it? Are we having UPS? Are we having FedEx? Are we having some random trucking company or whatever, So I got to do all that crap too, and that's not hard, but it does take time. Depending on how many orders there is, it can seriously take some time. I think the longest that I've ever had to QC was like 2.5 hours, and it was just like, God, this is boring. So there's that. And then the quotes. Quotes can be very time consuming too. There's days where I don't even do anything engineering. I don't even open SolidWorks because I'm so jam-packed busy with quotes. And that's how it's been recently. Recently, we have had a ridiculous amount of quotes come in, which is good, as long as they become orders. But because of this, I'm just slamming with quotes. It's like all last week was just quotes. I didn't do anything engineering. And then even today is Monday. 3/4 of my day was quotes, and then finally I was able to open SolidWorks to look up something else that they asked me for, if I could get some prints together and stuff for them, and then look up these old parts that then we can try to resurrect them and see if there's a market for it, which they feel strongly that there probably would be. But anyways, so yeah, I just think, man, him bragging about, oh, I did 30 jobs in 30 days. I'm like, yeah, imagine him trying to do all this, do your engineering, potentially help out with quality, do quotes, and do sales order QCs. I don't want to hear it, bro. Screw you and your dumb 30 jobs in 30 days. That's nothing. I wish that's all I had to worry about was doing 30 jobs in 30 days. All right, man, that bit there talking about the former chief engineer, that went on way longer than I thought it would. God dang. I mean, I know I was talking about the former quality guy as well. So, like, that whole thing wasn't just about him, but jeez, I didn't realize how long this went on for. That's about 45 minutes there just between them two. I thought I'd make the whole entire cast in 45 minutes. Not just an honorable mention and then number one. Well, anyways, instead of talking about pointless stuff and adding filler to this and making it even longer than it needs to be, let's get on to the one I'm putting in the second place. So, in second place, or whatever, since like I said, it's not really ranking, it's just kind of the order that I chose to put them in for specific reasons. But in the second spot, it's going to be our former CFO. Now, my company seems to have had a lot of CFOs, recently at least. So when I say former, I don't mean like, I mean the one that we had for 3 years about, not the one who was actually good and there for 40 years or wherever it was. Not him. He was solid, no issues there. It's the one that we had for 3 years. So she was like wicked deceptive, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Like the way that she like carried herself with her position and everything, nobody thought there was any issues. Wow, nobody thought there were any issues. We all thought she was on top of her game. She knew what was up. She almost kind of had respect as like being kind of smart, one of the smarter ones that worked there. And all this, and it was just like, I don't know, you wouldn't have imagined that there was any problems just because how she had this reputation for some reason. Additionally, she was always kind of had this very, very subtle air about her. I'm not trying to say she was smug or arrogant or anything, but there was just a touch of it. Just a touch of like, it was almost like it was always sitting in the back of her mind like, I'm the CFO. I handle all the money. They trust me with such an important position. Like, I don't know, it was weird. It was like, why do you think you're so special? All of us in the office have a critical role. We are all important, so relax a little, broad. But anyways, so she ended up leaving back in, I don't know when it was. I feel like it was like maybe 22, but maybe it was 23. Maybe it was 22. I don't know. It was a couple years ago now at this point, though. And, well, I'm very well versed on this because I took over as CFO briefly. I wanted to take over full time. Like, I wanted that to be my new position. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do something different, because I've been doing engineering now for, since 2011. So this year will be 14 years I've been doing it. So, at that time, let's say it was 2 years ago, I was 12 years. So I was like, yeah, this would be cool. Do something different. I got 12 years experience of engineering. Now let's get some experiences accounting. Because that could open up some new doors, too, for me, is what I was thinking. Within the company, it could give me, like, better pay, potentially. I know that the last CFO, not the one I'm talking about now, but the guy that was there for a while, I mean, he was doing pretty well for himself. So I know there's potential. They even told me that there's potential to make a good amount of money in that position. So there's that. But also I was thinking, hey, maybe I'll learn some skills and then I could do like accounting as like a side hustle for some random small companies or something and make a few extra dollars that way. Maybe then I can branch out a little bit more and I don't know, learn. I mean, this is something I plan on doing anyways, but it might help to be in the position it would be to do my own taxes. Then A, my tax preparation would be free, and B, I could offer it to other people, make some more money on the side. So I saw it as all these opportunities that could open up to me just by doing that. But, it was short-lived because, A, when I was trying to take over the position, they couldn't find anybody that would be adequate to replace me in my engineering role. I never thought of the type of engineering that we do as niche, but apparently it is kind of niche. And then afterwards, I really started to think about it. I was like, yeah, okay, because we have two types of tooling that we make, and one tooling really is ridiculously niche. If I'm not mistaken, I think in the whole entire country, it's us and one other country that does that type of tools. So I'm like, yeah, I guess you have a point. That is niche. I just don't think of it because I'm used to it day to day. To me, it's just my job. I don't think of it as being like, you know what I mean? Like a rarity, if you will. So anyways, it was hard to find somebody that could come in and just like get going, because obviously I wouldn't really have time to train them. We would need somebody who could just come in and get to work, because I would have to take over for the CFO stuff. I mean, when I was doing the CFO stuff, I was wicked busy. I was doing CFO stuff during the day, my 8-hour shifts, and then I was doing my engineering stuff after hours. So I used to do, until 4 is our shift. We leave at 4. So that's when I was doing the CFO stuff. And then from 4, I used to stay until like 9 o'clock, sometimes 10. So from like 4 to 9 or 10, I would do my engineering stuff. So yeah, it was super busy. It was crazy. And yeah, obviously I didn't have time to be taken away from doing the CFO stuff if I was going to do that. So like I keep saying, we just needed somebody who could just come in and get to work. And unfortunately, we couldn't find anybody. We weren't getting any kind of good hits at all. We had ads out everywhere. And like a lot of the hits that we get were like people like straight out of college and stuff. And it was like, you're not going to be a good hit. You barely are going to know how to do the job in general. You're a newbie. Never mind doing something kind of niche. And then the only like semi-decent seeming interview that we had was this guy who, he had a real impressive resume, but I don't know. When he came in, he was kind of goofy, and he just was not going to be a good fit at all. Like, his resume versus him in real life did not match up. It was weird. His resume is super, impressive. It seems like he's, like, this really smart guy who's done a lot, and then you meet him in real life, and he's kind of stiff and goofy and seems semi-dumb, and it was like, what? Are you sure this is you? Or are you pulling some kind of scam like Chris Moltisanti did in Sopranos when he was going for his certification for, to be like the stock exchange manager or whatever, but he actually had that Asian guy there as him, Chris Moltisanti, and it's some Chinese kid. Is that what this was? Was this guy just out interviewing for the actual guy? Hey, I got you a job. Like, I don't know, there's no way it lined up. But anyways, yeah, so obviously we didn't hire him because he had no idea anyways about our industry in general. I don't even know why he wasted his time to apply. He had no idea. Like, we were asking him about it, and he's like, I don't know, but I can learn. Well, we don't have time for you to learn. You need to know. You need to get hired and get going. Like, that's, I guess, kind of the advantage about me, because that sort of was my situation. I got hired, and I was basically good to go right out the gate because I already knew half the industry. They just had to bring me up to speed a little bit on this niche part, and then I was good to go by myself so that the former chief engineer could go out to the plant. Where this other guy has no idea about it at all. Like, he would need training all around, 100% training. So anyways, that was one reason. They couldn't find a replacement for me. So obviously, if they can't find a replacement for me, then I can't really take a different position. And 2, I think this sort of screwed me over. Around the time when I officially became the chief engineer, it was after a month, I had a vacation. I mean, this was planned. I had this in the works for a while. And I don't remember what the vacation was. I don't think I was actually taking a vacation per se. I think I was just taking the week off. Now, why was I taking a random week off in April or something? April, May, somewhere around there. I don't know, because that's really weird. Normally, I take my vacations either around my birthday or my daughter's birthday, or I'll do it around Thanksgiving or Christmas. A time that makes sense. Doing a random one in April or May makes no sense. I don't know why I did that. There had to have been a reason. I just don't remember it now. But anyways, so I had this scheduled, and then I even approached them. I said, I'm supposed to have vacation coming up, but I can cancel it. It's not a big deal at all. I can reschedule, take a different week later in the year. And they said, nah, you know what? We'll be fine. You can take your week. But I think I probably shouldn't have taken my week, because then when I came back, that's basically when the CFO stuff was done. And then the former CFO that we had, the good one that I was saying in the beginning, they actually got him to come back. So I was like, yeah, I know this isn't my position anymore if they have him doing it. And yeah, that was it. So I really only had it for a month, unfortunately. It was kind of cool. It was very busy and stressful doing that in engineering, but it was cool. Slightly different experience. But anyways, it's a big, long story just to say, like, I'm very well versed in her failings because I took over. So I got to experience everything that she failed at firsthand. So, like, for starters, one thing that was, like, right out the gate, I don't remember, I think it was a letter in the mail came, and when I read it, it was like, whoa! So my company has 3 buildings. They're all basically within the same lot. Somehow they have different addresses, which I think is kind of funny, because we're all, like, in the same lot, but they all have their own address, so whatever. But anyways, one of the buildings had a lien on it. Now, I don't really know how you would get a lien on a building, because, like, I know that my company's a debt-free company, so I know they don't have, like, a mortgage on these buildings or anything. These buildings are their buildings. So I'm assuming maybe she didn't pay the property taxes or something. I don't know, but there was a lien on it. So, 1, obviously that's bad. And then 2, I don't know what she was doing, but she wasn't paying our vendors, or at least not in any kind of, like, reasonable time frame, and giving them a decent amount of money and all this. Like, when I took over as the CFO, I was flooded with so many inquiries as to, hey, when can I expect a payment? Hey, when can I expect a payment? Here's an invoice. Hey, this is way past due. When do you think I can get a payment? Hey, this is past due. And it was just like, is this serious right now? Like, there's this many things that we're that behind on? I mean, we had one customer in particular that we were behind 2 separate invoices of the same amount, and it was like $74,000 each one. So you're looking at $148,000 we were behind on this one vendor that she just wasn't taking care of. And that one harassed me every day, because not only were we behind a lot, I think it was several months that we were behind as well. I think it was like 6 months or something like that she just didn't pay them. So, like, this person from that company literally sent me an email every single day looking for payment. And if I didn't respond, I got more, or I'd get a call. So I'd have to respond to the email every day. I'll try to see what I can do for payment. It's not really up to me. I mean, I am new in this position, so it's up to, upper management to approve payment. But as soon as I can, I'll let you know. Every single day. And that's just one of them. We had so many that we were behind on. It took, a lot of work to get us caught up. It was a lot of planning. It was a lot of regular check runs. I mean, we were doing check runs like twice a week, which I know doesn't sound like a lot. Like, oh, twice a week, okay. But normally they do 1 check run a week, and those check runs were big. Like, it was like, there was one day I think I had, 30-something checks? A normal check run's like 10. But we were so far behind that in order to catch up, you had to go crazy like that. The other part that was pretty crazy is because we were so far behind, like, the bank account was getting low. Now, granted, in the grand scheme of things, the company is doing just fine. Like, it's not actually broke. They just like to keep a certain amount of money in the bank account, so that way then it's I don't know what the logic is, actually. They just keep a certain amount. I think they only like to keep like $1 million at a time in the bank account. There's more available. Where? I don't know. Maybe from another account or something. I don't know. But in the paying bills account, it's like $1 million. And that thing was always almost dry. I remember one time it was down. This isn't super low, but it was at like $100,000. But in comparison to $1 million, like, that's nothing. It's like, whoa, we only have $100,000 left. I don't think we can do another check run. But, yeah, so that's another failing. Another thing I noticed she kind of failed at, too, which I didn't realize at first, but towards what would become the end of her tenure there, I started to pay attention to it, and I was like, wait a minute. And one thing she did was she would talk all the time. Any of her neighbors nearby her office, she would be chatting with. She'd be chatting with. If I went up there to ask her a question, it would turn into she would start chatting about random stuff. Like, I'd have a question that would literally be like A minute interaction total. Go up there, ask her a question. She gives me the answer. Okay, thanks. Leave the office. Boom. But she would turn it into like half hour, if not more, because she'd start talking about random stuff and just go and go and go. And yeah, then I started to think about it, and I was like, how is she even getting her job done when all she's doing is talking all the time? Yeah, well, sure enough, she leaves the company, and it's like, oh, she wasn't getting her job done. That's how she had all the time in the world to talk. Now it makes sense. But yeah, so yeah, she was definitely, I don't know what the word is or a phrase I want to use. Pull the wool over your eyes? Probably not. Something though. She definitely had everybody fooled. Nobody realized that things were as bad as they were until she left, and it was like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? What is this? And a lot of us speculate that she actually left to try to avoid any consequences. Like, we think she left because she realized things are getting bad, and she was going to be in hot water if this got found out, because it was probably getting to be too much that she couldn't hide it anymore. I mean, there was a lien on the building. How do you hide a lien? You can't. So I think she started to get a little bit nervous and realized, uh-oh, I screwed up, and so she just wanted to leave. That way then it's not her fault. And, oh, not her fault, but just not her problem, you know? Hey, I'm not there anymore. Not my problem. You guys got to figure that out. Not my problem. I mean, at the end of the day, if something bad did happen, it still is her problem. You know what I mean? Like, if the lien went through and the bank was like, I don't know, well, what could they do? I'd say repossess. They can't repossess the building if you own it. But what does a lien even do? I don't know. But if the lien went into full effect, because it didn't make it that far. It was just a proposed lien. If we don't get a payment by this date, then this lien will be imposed. And it was nearby. The date was like within a month from when I took over. So we didn't have much time left. So, but anyways, if something happened, yeah, they could still pursue you. They know your address. You're a former employee, doofus. But anyways, yeah, that's what we think happened. Like, she just kind of skedaddled, like, uh-oh, this is too much for me to handle right now. Come to find out also, how do I want to phrase this? There's two things I want to add to this. I guess, so after she left us, she did go to another company, and kind of, I think she took like a reduced role, because then some people were still talking to her, and they claimed that she was like, oh, yeah, it was just a little bit more than I could handle working there. I took on a bigger role than I thought I could. So she went to another company where she had a smaller role, but apparently that smaller role was still too much for her. She ended up leaving there after like 8 months or something. And then I don't know what happened in between there. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But from what I hear now, potentially, it's not really confirmed, but potentially she's just working at a dentist office now as like a secretary, you know, one of those people that you check in with. Oh, what are you here for today? Oh, I have a 230 cavity filling. Okay. Like, she's one of them now, and I'm like, or potentially one of them. I only say this because one of the guys at my job goes to that dentist office, if she works there, that she supposedly works at, and he said that I think he went to go make an appointment or something, and then the dentist yelled over to the secretary and said the name, which she does have a semi-unique name. It's not very common. So first off, he says he hears the name, and he's like, wait, is this the one that I know? And then he says when he saw her, he didn't recognize her. Maybe she was wearing a mask or something, so he didn't fully recognize her. But he's like, her eyes, that girl's eyes looked exactly like her eyes from what I remember. So it very well could be her. But if it is, it's just funny how she went from like semi-smug CFO down to just secretary at a dentist office. Like, it's kind of a big fall. But it also showcases that she didn't have skills. I mean, if she had skills, first off, she wouldn't have had to leave the company that I'm at. But second off, she'd be able to get an equal or even better job somewhere else, not go down to just being a dentist secretary. But, yeah, and I always, that's another thing, too. People always thought she was smart. And I always thought, I don't know about that. Like, to me, she didn't really give off vibes of being too smart. And the reason for that is because, like, she used to talk about her past a lot. Not more like her college days. And it just sounded like she was an F-up. She talks about how she used to drink a lot, and she fooled around with a lot of guys, and all this. And I'm like, none of that sounds like smart activities. Like, are you sure she's smart? And, yeah, based on what it sounds like her life is now, I'm like, yeah, maybe I was right with my my semi-judgmental assessment. It wasn't judgmental, it was accurate. You know, you don't act like an idiot and screw up in college if you're smart. You're focused on your future, like I was. I got 3 degrees, and I was focused on all of them. I never did anything stupid, because I knew this was for my future. I have to do good. That way then I can, hopefully get a better job if my grades look good enough. When I present a transcript to a company that I want to apply at, obviously I need to be focused to get those grades. I can't be screwing around being, oh yeah, I'm going to go to this party. I mean, even to this day, I still don't do that because I'm still focused. I'm like, no, I have a serious job. I have a kid, and I want more out of the future, too. I want to be able to, maybe get into, like, state politics and stuff. I can't be screwing around acting like an idiot and then have, like, a weird reputation as, like, a partier or something. No, I need to be clean-cut, professional. So that way then I can reach those end goals. But anyways, so... did I say both the final things I wanted to say? I said one was how she's like downgraded herself to potentially just being a secretary now. What was the other one? Oh man, I went on a tangent here about myself and now I forgot. Did I say 2 things? Remember? I said I had 2 things. I didn't know which order to say them in because they kind of go hand in hand. Now I forgot if I said the other one or not. So I don't like this trailing on stuff, but I'm driving. This is kind of difficult to like just pause or whatever while I'm driving and think. I don't know. But yeah, so she had a lot of flaws. Definitely pulled the wool over at least the owner's eyes, I guess you could say. And now, oh yeah, that's the other thing I didn't say yet. Okay, so the other thing is, at my company. So there's another company that, I don't know what happened with it. I can't say it went out of business because it still is in business. But it, like, downsized drastically. So I think they're online only now is how you can buy stuff. And they, like, reduced the number of warehouses that they have. So one warehouse that was pretty local to where my company is ended up closing. And a lot of the employees that worked there came to my company that I'm at. And she was one of them. Well, anyways, after she ended up leaving and all these failures of hers got exposed and stuff, one of the other employees who was who's in customer service, she said, well, yeah, I thought it was weird when she came here and became the CFO. Like, that was a huge bump for her, and I wasn't even sure if she'd be able to handle that. Because when we worked at this other place together, I mean, she was just something simple like accounts payable. She wasn't the full gambit like she was here. Accounts payable, accounts receivable, taxes, payroll, this, that, the other thing. She was just accounts payable, and she had a boss herself and all this, and so I thought it was good for her to be able to get like a boost like that, get a better position, more money. I thought that was cool, but I always questioned it, so basically saying like she didn't think that she'd be able to do the job, and clearly she couldn't because that's not what she was about. She's just accounts payable, something simple. You get papers and you just match them up. You get invoices, you match them up to a PO, and then you submit them for to accounts payable. Wait, no, if she's accounts payable, then never mind. I'm saying accounts receivable job. If she's accounts payable, then she just gets those papers and writes checks. Even easier. So, yeah, apparently, if other employees that came from that company were like interviewed about her before they gave her the position, maybe they would have realized, oh, maybe she's not as worth it as we thought. I always felt bad too for the former CFO that we had, the good one, because he spent a year training her. He put an entire year hanging out with her every day, making sure she had everything perfect before he tried to retire. And basically 2 years later, she ends up quitting, and then he's back. So one, that just screws with his retirement, and two, like, that's just a waste of his time to put all that time and effort into her for literally nothing. She didn't even last. Which I find funny, because on the other hand, the former chief engineer, he was with me for like 3 months. So any questions I had about this company and stuff, I had 3 months to ask him, and then he was out in the plant, and that was it. He wasn't, he's still there. I could ask him a question here and there, but he was so busy with the plant stuff, he didn't have time for me. So I had 3 months, and yet here I am still there. She got a whole entire year of dedicated training, and she just rudely throws it away. It's kind of a dick move. And then the poor guy has to come back, too, out of retirement. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to. He was retired. He could be like, hey, F you, that's your problem now. But still, he has a kind heart, and he felt bad for them, so he's like, okay, fine, I'll come back. I mean, he was charging them quite a bit of money, so it was worth his while. I think he was charging like $125 an hour. Like, his take-home pay was over $3,000 a week. So I suppose it was worth it from a certain angle, a certain perspective for him to be doing that, but still. But anyways, so yeah, that's her secret failure. And now on to the last one. So the last one I said I wanted to put in last for a reason, and that is because I think... Hold on, what am I trying to say here? That is because in third biggest scammer, whatever the phrase is I'm trying to use at my company, would be our COO, Chief Operations Officer. So the reason he goes in third is because he is the former plant manager, the one that the chief engineer went to go replace. Yeah, so the chief engineer was supposed to go replace him so that then he could retire. Yeah, here he is, 6 years later, still hanging out at the company. Oh, I'm the COO. But the thing about him, why he's just a waste of time, a scam employee, whatever you want to say, is because he's absolutely useless. Okay? First off, somebody with the title of COO is usually pretty dang busy and involved with the day-to-day actions of a company and has a hand on everything and is helping guide and direct things, such as how production's going to go and this and that and everything. This doofus doesn't do any of that. I find it to be very embarrassing to say that he's our COO, or if he sends out an email and his signature says COO in it, it's no, don't even try to pull that. This is embarrassing. You're a joke of a COO. When I think of COO, I think of Triple H from WWE when he was the COO. Obviously, he was actively working all the time, coming up with storylines and making the matches, booking where the matches were going to be, and this and that. That's a COO, a guy that's working hard, doing a lot. Or I think of, she's not really a COO, but there's a company that we work with. It's a family-owned company. The father is actually the same age as our tool room guy. They went to school together even, but he started it, and it's become very successful, so that's good for him. But his daughter basically runs the place now. I think he's in the process of transitioning it over to her to allow himself to, I guess, retire. But in a way, you could say that she's probably like the COO for now because he's still there. So technically, he's still the president. So it's almost like she's kind of like the COO. Maybe she's just the VP, whatever. But still, she is ridiculously involved in that company. She sets up interviews with newspapers, with industry magazines, with radio shows. I mean, local radio. It's not like she's on, a regular station. But, she sets up with local radio. She sets up events at the company for, other businesses to come to. I think they set up, family days at the company. She's in the plant herself. She'll work at a machine if she needs to. She's on the phone getting business, on the road all the time getting business, meeting customers face to face. She's constantly doing something, ridiculously involved. She is a great heir to this company because this guy put a lot of work in to build this place up and make it something special like it is, and him handing it off to her it's just gonna keep growing and get even better possibly with her at the helm. And so yeah, that's like a COO. The idiot that we have This is his day-to-day plan, his day-to-day schedule, I mean. So Useless gets there at 6:30 in the morning. Why? I don't know. He gets in, he sits in his office and watches TV. He has a giant TV in his office. It's probably, I don't know, 60-inch, maybe bigger. Probably bigger. 60-inch. Yeah, definitely bigger. It's probably like a 75 or something. It's a huge TV. And he sits there watching Fox News. And then around 7:30, he leaves. He goes and gets a coffee. Then he comes back in time for the 8 o'clock meeting, which the 8 o'clock meeting is such a waste of time. I've thought this since day one. I don't even know why the F they have it. All they do is they talk about, like, what they're doing. Oh, I'm running this down in this department. I'm running this in this department. Like, it's so stupid. That's something that the plant manager should just know. You shouldn't need to have a meeting about it every day. The plant manager should just know what everybody's working on, and if need be, he can page like a specific department supervisor to his office to talk to the person about whatever and carry on. I don't know why they have a meeting every day. It's like a half-hour long meeting. It's such a waste of time every single day. So anyways, he goes to this meeting, and then after that meeting, there's another meeting right after. It's to go talk to the owner, which I always think that's stupid too. I'm like, if he wants to be in the loop on things, why the F doesn't he go to the meeting? Like, the core people from that first meeting have to go see him for the second follow-up exactly identical meeting. It's usually the COO, the plant manager, the head of the sales department, the assistant plant manager, and the vice president, which all of them were in that 8 o'clock meeting, but now they got to go to this 8:30 meeting with the president of the company. It's like, why the F don't you just go there? It's so weird. Like, what do you think? Oh, well, I'm better than these people. I don't need to be in the room with all them peasants. I don't think that's what he thinks, but it makes no sense. Talk about a waste of time for all those people that talk about the same exact things that they just got done talking about. It's so stupid. But anyway, so then they go to that dumb meeting, or he, I should say, since I'm talking about him specifically. Then, basically, after that, maybe he'll go in his office, he hangs out in there for half an hour, or he'll just straight up leave right after that meeting. He literally goes home, he takes care of his pets, like he brings his dog outside to go to the bathroom, which makes no sense. His wife is home. I don't know why he has to go home and take his dog out, but okay. And then he kind of dicks around. Maybe he'll come back around like 10:30. And then he hangs out for an hour. Usually hangs out in the president's office, just kind of BSing with him. And then around 11:30, he goes out to lunch and comes back, I don't know, sometime before 12:30, either at 12:30, maybe 12:20, something like that. Kind of just hangs out in his office again, not really doing anything, just hanging out in there. And then there's a 1 o'clock meeting. Yep, because a waste of time at at 8 o'clock in the morning isn't enough. They have to have another one at 1. And this one is to talk about scrap and all this. Again, the plant manager should be just handling all the scrap reports and looking at the scrap and understanding the scrap. And again, if need be, page one of the supervisors down to your office so you can have a discussion. There's no need to have everybody sit in a stupid scrap meeting at 1 o'clock. I don't even go to these meetings and they make me mad because they're such a waste of time. So dumb. But anyways, yeah, he goes to that 1 o'clock meeting, and then after the 1 o'clock meeting, whenever that's over, again, usually like half an hour, so like 1:30, then he goes home. And that's it. That's his day. Does that sound like a COO to you at all? What did he do? Nothing. He sat in 2 meetings. He comes, he watches TV, gets a coffee, sits in a meeting, goes home to take care of his dogs, comes back to hang out with the president of the company, goes to lunch, comes back, hangs out in his office for a little bit, goes to another meeting for no reason, goes home. Wow, that's a COO. Woo! And I bet you this dickhead is making serious money, too. Probably clears like $2,000 a week, if not more. Probably more, yeah, definitely more. I almost make $2,000 a week. If I'm almost making that, he's definitely, well, I was talking take-home, though. I don't make that take-home. So, yeah, this dickbag's probably making, let's say, $2,500 a week take-home. For what? What is he doing for that much money? Literally nothing. He's just there hanging out. He's a guy that was supposed to retire 6 years ago. He's like 74, 75 years old and just a loser. He has nothing else going on in his life. Apparently he hates his wife or something. That's why he doesn't want to be home with her. So he comes to work to hang out. Like, such a waste. And it's weird because everybody sees it. Everybody sees how useless he is, how worthless he is, how much of a joke he is, except for the president of the company, the owner of the company. For some reason, he thinks he's great and he's doing a lot. And, oh, yeah, he's an asset. Oh, yeah, I really need to have him. No, you don't. This guy's an idiot. He's a waste of your time, a waste of your money. Jeez, you could get rid of him and, like, give other core people a little boost to their pay. Get rid of him and like, everyone else in the office could get, like, a $5 an hour raise. You know what I mean? Maybe not $5, but maybe, like, a $2 an hour raise. Without him sucking the payroll to do nothing. At least we're doing stuff. Yeah, give us the $2. We're more worth it than he is. The irony of this whole situation, too, is I've actually put in for his position. Not now. Like, I'm not trying to make them fire him or anything weird like that. But I did put in for it. I said, hey, in the future when he retires, I don't know how you feel about this position. I don't know if this is a position that you just made up for him. Because technically he's been with the company for a very long time. Right now, my company is a family-owned company, and they're on the third generation now. So the current president, his grandfather started the company. And, I mean, this was back in, like, the 50s or something like that. And he's been working with him since, like, the late 80s or something. So, I mean, he knows the grandfather. Obviously, he knows the current one's father. He worked with him for 25 years or whatever it was. Now he's working with the son. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if they gave him the position just kind of like honorarily. Like, okay, well, you've been here forever. We'll let you pretend that you're the COO. Or maybe this is a real position. Maybe the grandfather had a COO back in the day. That guy retired or whatever. And now this doofus is the COO. I don't know. But I said, hey, if you want to keep the position after he goes, I would very happily like to fill it. I would like to be your new COO. Because the way I see it is, one, the fourth generation works there with us as well. He's our vice president. Remember I said the vice president goes to that dumb after 8 o'clock meeting with the president? Yeah, it's his son. So I'm like, well, he's going to be the future of the company. I mean, I'm not as young as the son. I think the kid's like 25 or something ridiculously young. I'm not that young, but I'm also not that old. Like, I could definitely grow up, if you will, with him, with the company, and be a valuable asset that he could have to confer with. You know what I mean? Almost like if this was the mafia and he becomes the Don, I could be his consigliere. You know, be his right-hand man and help him grow the company and stuff and actually do the job, not be useless like our current COO. And that's the thing. I even came up with a list of ideas that I have of things that I would work on, not things I want to work on, things that I might try to work on, things that I would work on. I have a list. It's 9 things long. And maybe that doesn't sound too long, like, oh, only 9 things. But some of these ideas that I have are literally years long projects. Like, they would take me at least 2-3 years to complete, and they would be very intensive. I would be like daily out there in the plant working on this to gather the data that I need and do analysis and analytics and everything. And yeah, all this stuff is to make the company better, make it better, help it run more efficiently and be able to move forward and just become greater than it is. So yeah, I'm serious about the position. But anyways, it's just funny because, you know, I give him a list of ideas and it's like, yeah, what does this dickhead have for ideas? Any? No? Oh, okay, so that's your COO, a guy with no ideas? I'm the COO. Duh, what does that even stand for? Is it just cool? Duh. I don't know. From what I also hear too, he's kind of like a leech or whatever the word is I'm looking for. Yeah, a leech, I guess. Like, I guess the good CFO that the company had, apparently he used to be the plant manager before he became the CFO. And apparently he did a lot of work to revamp the plant. It was a mess. He came in, did a lot of work, fixed it up. But shortly after he came up with a good game plan, the doofus COO that we have now ended up becoming plant manager. And he stole the thunder and acted like all that positive change that happened was because of him, is from what I hear. You know, I hear that from some of the people that have been there for 40 years, so they know. They lived through it. And they're like, yeah, it's always made me irritated. Because he acts like he did something, like he's some big king honcho, and he did nothing. He came in and stole the thunder and then rode those coattails. He never improved anything from there. He just took what existed and said, yeah, this was my idea. And then another thing is, he keeps this spreadsheet that every single day he enters data into. I don't know what it's from, the reports or something, from the daily production reports or something. I don't know. I've looked at it. It doesn't really make sense to me. I guess it's because I haven't looked at it deeply enough, and it's probably also because it doesn't really affect me. I don't need to understand it. It's not part of my job, so I don't care. But from what I understand, that chart that he makes is absolutely useless. The data on it is just trash. It's no value at all. I heard this ironically from our last CFO, missed number in second that I just talked about. So maybe that's not as solid of information as I thought it was coming from her, now that I know that she sucked at her job and didn't even know what she was doing. But maybe she was right. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was garbage data. And so if that is the case, then that's just kind of goofy that, he thinks he's doing something by looking at trash data. I mean, I asked her when she said this, I said, how come you don't just say something like to the owner, to the president? And she's like, because if I do, then he's going to make me have to rework it and fix it. And that's just going to be a big project. And I don't have time for that. Which, again, looking back at it in retrospect, I'm like, oh, yeah. You do like to just sit around and do nothing and talk. So working on a project like this is a lot. It's going to interfere with your talking time. There's a lot of things that I'm noticing. So I'm like, I don't even know. Maybe this data is good and she's just an idiot. But if it's not good, like, it's just funny. The irony, like, he's presenting this stuff like, oh, yeah, look at my numbers. Dude, these mean nothing, but I'm too stupid to realize that. Oh, and speaking of I'm too stupid, when I first started at the company, I would go to those dumb 8 o'clock meetings because the former chief engineer did. And so he'd have me come along. And he would, the COO at that time, plant manager, would ask questions, and like the questions he would ask were just so brain dead. And I'd always think, is this guy for real? Like, how long has he been here? 30 plus years, and he's asking this kind of question? Like, the questions that he would ask were just so, like, I knew the answers. Here I was, the new guy. I was working for the company for like 2 weeks, and I knew the answer. And I'm like, this guy who's been here for 30 something years is seriously asking this? Like, he's always given off this vibe that he's just dumb. I've never thought of him as smart, and half the time he doesn't even seem competent. And there's so many times too where he will like adamantly say something like he 100% knows, like he should, he's been there forever, and then someone will be like, no, that's wrong, and prove it. And it's just like, how does this dickhead not know when you've been here this long? And apparently the plant manager, you should know this stuff. How does he not know? How is he so adamantly like talking about whatever he's talking about and being wrong the whole time? It's just weird. But yeah, he's useless. He's terrible. He wastes of time, wastes of space. Oh, and that's the other thing he likes to do. He likes to, Mr. COO. Now, as a COO, if there's any problems, what you should do is you talk about the problem, then you ponder it and come up with the solution, and then you contact the required members of the team to do whatever they need to do to help resolve this problem. Well, Mr. COO over here, there'll be a problem, he'll talk about the problem, and then he leaves it up to all of us to figure it out. And it's like, hello, this is your job, dickhead. You figure it out and then tell us how we're going to fix it. Why are we figuring out a problem that, like, you're thinking about? Hey, I was just thinking about this. How are we going to fix it? I don't know. You're the COO, right? How are we going to fix it? Stupid. He does that all the time, and it's so annoying. Or he'll come up with this stupid project, and of course, it's never for himself to do. No, it's always everyone else has to do the project. And it's so annoying because it's like, you're literally sitting around doing nothing. You're supposed to be Mr. COO, but you're doing nothing. And now you're going to come up with a dumb project for me to do? Like, I'm already busy. I have 2 positions. Kind of 3 in a way. Like, I don't have time to be doing this dumb crap for you. You do it. like, it's always something that he can do, too. It's not like it's something niche that he might not know how to do, like, oh, can you do this design, and you know, he needs SolidWorks or something. No, it's always something dumb, like, hey, can you go out in the plant and measure how big, you know, the tool room is or whatever? And it's like, what do you need that for? And it's like, oh, I'm just trying to get, like, a layout for, you know, this dumb X reason. And it's like, okay, and the reason you can't go out in the tool room and measure it is why? Like, what are you doing that's so important that you can't go out in the tool room, but I have to? I have to get you these dumb measurements because why? Like, this is your dumb idea. This is your dumb project. You go do it. If I was COO, I would be going out to do it. I wouldn't delegate my plan, my vision to somebody else. I'd be out there doing it. Like, I don't know, he's very useless, and it's frustrating that the owner doesn't see it, that the president of the company doesn't see it. He's the only one, too. It's ridiculous. Everyone else thinks he's awesome. Well, his son doesn't, the vice president doesn't see it either, but obviously, you know, his dad thinks he's great, so he's just like, oh, okay, yep, dad says he's good, so I guess he is. But yeah, so, I guess in wrapping up, yeah, that's my 3, plus an honorable mention, people at my current job who seemed like they had it together and knew what they were doing, but really they're absolutely useless and sucked at their job. And yeah, and you didn't find out until after the fact, except for the COO. He's still at the company, and we all know that he sucks, and some of us have known for quite some time that he sucks. You know, like the guys that have been there for 30-40 years. But anyways, yeah, this ended up being super long. Both of these segments are long. The first one's 45 minutes, and this one's probably just as long as well. Because like I said, I usually make these when I'm driving, and now I'm home and I'm parked, so it's like, wow, I'm still going? How long is this? But anyways, that's all I got. So thanks for listening, and until next time, I said see ya.